What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to talk about Rocky Marciano. A couple months ago, I did a video with Rocky Marciano against Tiger Ted Laurie. Fought him twice. And just a few days ago, I had a viewer respond to the video. And he was concerned on how he felt Rocky Marciano was biased against and hated against. And so I asked the viewer, I wrote back to him and asked him, did he feel as though I was being hatred and have biased against Rocky Marciano? And he wrote back and said, no, he didn't feel that I did. But a video like this could ignite hatred and biasness against Rocky Marciano. So what I did was I went back to the video and listened to where he felt as though I was being biased and hated. Now, he said he didn't feel I was, but in order for him to make that statement, he had to believe there was some hatred and biasness against him. And I went through every point that I was making on that video. There was no bias. There was no hatred. It was all facts. Now, I actually like Rocky Marciano. Great fighter. No question about it. His determination and heart is impeccable. Punching power. He would punch on the arms and the shoulders, break the blood vessels. He knew how to work on the inside. He was a master at that. It was a phenomenon that came around at a time when you didn't have fighters that way. But the thing with Rocky Marciano, the time in which he came, the Hall of Famers and ex-champions that he fought and beat, I would have liked to seen how he would have done in their prime. That was the video. That was initially about Tiger Ted Laurie, but the argument was how would he have done in the time of those great fighters, Charles and Lewis Walcott. Now, what the viewer stated was though the reason why the video was done, as though he knew why I actually did a video. He felt as though there was no footage to prove the case. Now, the viewer obviously doesn't know me or know who I actually am. Because my sources, see, I know people who were there. There, many people that were there. I know them. There are people who didn't even communicate with the other person, didn't even know the other person. They all told me the same thing. These are facts. You see, when I state my claims or arguments or videos, it's based on facts. I have opinions, but they're surrounded around facts. I've always been that way. One of the fairest individuals you're going to find. And they all told me. See, he fought Laurie October 10th in 49 in Providence. That's in Rhode Island. And although Laurie had plenty of losses, but he threw a lot of fights. These are facts. Doesn't take anything against Marciano's victory, but these are facts. Now, the second fight was in question. Marciano was hurt several times, and Laurie didn't step in. Facts? I stated the facts. And for that, Rocky Marciano was hated on, in the opinion of the concerned viewer. Now, Rocky Marciano had faced Roland Estrada. Faced him March 24th, 1950 in New York's Madison Square Garden. Estrada was 37-0 at that time. Marciano was undefeated. Most observers felt as though Estrada won the fight. My dad was there, and I spoke to about 30 other people who were actually at the Garden. They didn't read it or look at a video. They were sitting right there at the Garden. Matter of fact, there was an uproar in the Garden when a decision was given to Rocky Marciano. Now, he fought Estrada the second time, and he stopped Estrada. But in that fight, in the second fight, Marciano was hitting Estrada low, hit him after the bell. Several tactics was used against Estrada. These are facts. I stated the facts. Had nothing to do with the ability of Marciano. So this is where biasness comes in. I'm stating the facts. It's what happened. You cannot change history. I have no stock in either fighter. It's what actually happened. Rocky Marciano was 23 knockouts in his first 25 fights. He's 49-0 with 43 knockouts. Again, his professional debut, March 17, 1947. Against a fighter by the name of Lee Epperson. Knocked him out in the third round. I know Rocky Marciano's career like I know the back of my hand. I know his story. Rocky Marciano was a tremendous fighter. One of the greatest of all times. No question about it. But I just had some questions. How would he have done in the prime of the Hall of Famers that he fought? We will never know that. You see, in 1948, he had 11 fights. All knockouts in less than 3 completed rounds. 1949, he had 13 fights. 11 knockouts. 2 10-round decisions. He had 2 fights in March, 2 in May, and 2 in December. I believe it was 3 in December. And he defeated Joe Louis in Madison Square Garden, 1951, 8-round knockout. Now, Ruby Goldstein was the referee in that fight. He was also the referee in the fight in 47 when he had to unfortunately raise the hand of Joe Louis. Now, I am stating that Joe Louis possibly lost the first fight with Walcott. He was given the victory. Matter of fact, he started heading out of the ring before the decision was made. And Ruby Goldstein began to raise the hand of Joe Walcott because he himself had Louis down on the cards. And he had to raise Joe Louis's hand. And he couldn't believe it. He went back to the locker room and told Joe Louis, "Joe, as a friend to me, don't fight anymore. You don't have it anymore." Now, this is in 47. Joe Louis knocked out Walcott in 48. He relinquished the title in 49. Walcott faced Charles in 49. And he won the vacant NBA heavyweight championship strap. Charles was told as though he was not the real champion because he did not defeat Joe Louis. So in 50, he fought Joe Louis. And Joe Louis was beat up pretty bad in that fight. Went the distance. But Joe Louis was told by a lot of close friends to retire. 51, he came back, Madison Square Garden. He was 37 years of age, and Marciano was 28 years of age. Marciano stopped him in the 8th round. Now, when you look at the highlight reels of Joe Louis's career, and you look at the fight between him and Charles and him and Marciano, not the same fighter. And so I don't discredit Marciano. I only question, how would he have done against a prime Joe Louis? We will never know that. It's a question. And that fight in Madison Square Garden, you had 17,241 spectators. It was $152,845 in gross receipts, $185,000 in radio and TV. Louis earned $132,000, Marciano $44,000. And the odds were in favor of Joe Louis 6-5. Now, Eddie Charles had a record of 95, 25, 52 knockouts. He was stopped 7 times. He had total bouts of 122 fights. And he fought Joe Louis September 27th, 1950, in New York's Yankee Stadium. Now, Charles was 6 foot and he had a 73-inch reach. And Charles was in a ring with fighters such as Booker Beckworth, Charlie Burley twice, Ken Oberlin, Joey Maxim twice, Lloyd Marshall and Jimmy Bivens fought him twice, Oakland Billy Smith twice, Elmer Violet and Ray, Archie Moore, Jersey Joe Walcott 3 times, fought a fighter by the name of Johnny Holman. 2 separate occasions. Nino Valdez, Bob Satterfield, very hard puncher. Rex Lane, who was a former opponent of Rocky Marciano. Harold Johnson. Charlie Norkus, very hard punching heavyweight. Tommy Hurricane Jackson twice. And Eddie Charles was in the ring with Marciano on 2 separate occasions in 1954. And when he fought Charles the first time, it went the distance. And that was a tough fight for both men. Marciano's nose was ripped almost in half, and Charles' jaw and eye was swollen. Charles should have retired. So when he fought the second time, Charles was knocked out. But I have to give Marciano full credit because Charles fought several times after that. He fought Tommy Hurricane Jackson twice. He was in the ring with Johnny Holman twice. He was after Marciano. Satterfield and Valdez. And when Marciano faced Jersey Joe Walcott, Joe Walcott wasn't a spring chicken. You see, he fought Walcott in 52. Walcott was 38 years of age at that time. Now, full credit. Fought him twice, knocked him out the second time. And that knockdown and knockout was questioned and whatever. So it doesn't change my opinion of Marciano. Great fighter. For the argument of Rocky Marciano, for him, I would have liked to have seen him face these fighters in their prime. So he can get better credit than what he's been given. But facts are, he fought them when they were past their prime. It is what it is. And you can't be biased against a fighter where you're making up arguments that have no merit. Marciano faced Archie Moore in 1955, knocked him out in the 9th round. He was dropped himself in the 1st round, as he was dropped with Joe Walcott in the 1st round. The credit goes to Marciano for getting up and winning the fight. Knocked both men out. That's what great fighters do, as Marciano was. So you need to be careful in investing too much of your own values and integrity on a fighter. Call it for what it is. Be honest about what you're looking at. Whether it's fighters of today or fighters of yesterday. There's too much bias. Call it for what it is. Marciano met a lot of these men when they were past their prime. Early in his career, there were guys that were coming up. It's about 2 or 3 guys I can't find in the record books. But it doesn't stop him from being a great fighter. So, in response of, and there's no disrespect to the gentleman. 100% respect, because that's an opinion that I value. But you have to be honest. And you can't be biased against a statement that's been made against a fighter that you support. Look at the statement, examine it, judge it for what it's worth. But there's no hatred against Marciano. There's no biasness against Marciano. I give full credit to Marciano for his victories. I just would have liked to have seen how he would have done against these great fighters in their prime. Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. All great fighters and all great fights will never be forgotten on my channel. Salute to my subscribers. Salute to all those who view my channel. And, you can state your opinion. Just be factual and be honest about what you're talking about. I've been involved in boxing a long time. I can debunk basically whatever you throw at me. It's nothing new to me. And I'll embrace whatever is factual. Salute.